What's up, YouTube? It's Todd Horst here with Tasty Tracker, and today I'm going to talk about KISS. Do people still know what that means? Am I too old? Anyway, that stands for Keep It Simple, Stupid. Hopefully, you guys know that one. That would make me feel weird. So yeah, you're going to want to watch this whole video because it's a good one. Of course, I didn't really make it yet because I filmed these all in one take, but I'm assuming just by my slides that it's going to be probably one of the most epical videos you've ever seen. So during this slideshow here, I'm going to probably sound pretentious, maybe elitist, and that's going to last a couple minutes. Hopefully you can stick with me, and at the end of it you can understand where I'm coming from, my motivation, and in the end it can help you save some money. But we all know there are a lot of dumb people in the world, and you are smart. I'm smart. If you're watching this video, we can all assume you are a smart person. So it's natural to think, hey, I'm so smart, all those people are dumb, and they must be in the stock market. And obviously, there are some dumb people in the stock market. Let me move my picture up. Okay. But many people that are in that situation, first of all, let's acknowledge that maybe they're not dumb, they're just not as smart as you, or maybe they're smart in other areas. Moving on, those people who don't want to be interested in the stock market aren't interested in the stock market, so they're not going to know where to start. They're not even going to get involved, and they probably don't have money that they want to waste on something they don't know anything about and don't want to know anything about. They have no motivation to get into the stock market, so they're simply not going to do that. What that means, though, is that there's a lot of really, really, really smart people in the stock market making money off of other smart people in the stock market. So which one are you? Are you the really smart person, or are you the smart person? And be honest. Can you acknowledge the magnitude of what you don't know? And that is critical to your success, believe it or not. So let's just start off with complexity. When I first got started, and I'm sure you either started this way, or maybe you're still at this place right now, but you had these weird ideas like, what if I just did this? What if I just did that? I'm going to be profitable. And guaranteed, anything you can come up with has already been tried by somebody out there. And typically it's too complicated to trade, or maybe it's inconsistent. Maybe you try it and it is actually profitable. Good on you for finding some combination of something that works. But maybe it's just too inconsistent. Maybe it's profitable for this month and next month, but long term, not so much. Doing some crazy combination of options, even if it had great odds, would be hard to replicate. So say you have this 20-leg strategy. Are you going to be able to replicate that, find the correct setup over and over and over again to continue to employ that strategy? Not really. It's going to be too hard for you to continue to do that quickly and consistently when you see that setup. It's just not going to happen. So you think you're the only one smart enough to think of joining that idea and that metric and these two indicators and looking for this chart pattern, etc. It's not going to be profitable, 100% guaranteed. But I do applaud you for your creativity. I had lots of harebrained ideas that ranged from extremely complex to extremely stupid. So for a couple of months, I didn't even look at anything with the chart. I just traded whatever had the highest IB because whatever, IB is overstated. So what if I don't care about anything else but IB? And we can all guess how that turned out. These stupid ideas are really what they are. You have to be smart enough to acknowledge. And going into that, it was more of an experiment. Going into it, I figured it would not be possible, at least consistently, to be profitable that way. And it definitely is not. But as a software engineer, and this is true with any engineering and many other fields, simplicity isn't just sometimes better, it's always better. I don't want to architect a solution when I'm designing a software that is over-engineered. It has way too much structure for what the needs of the customers are. Any additional structure that I put in is only going to take more time to build initially, and then more maintenance, and then more bugs. So you want to pare back your tendency to want to over-engineer, and you want to only do what is required. That sounds like you're cheating them out of something, but in the long run, you're doing them a favor. So why would you think the market would be any different? It's the exact same kind of thing. Next thing I wanted to talk about is contentness, which is really hard to say, contentedness. One of the first, if not the first book I purchased was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I was an early teen, and I read through that. It sort of shaped my future. I grew up talking about finances with my family, so this is something that's always been with me. But then I really dove into it in my early teens. So my niece is right around that age, and I offered the book to her. She declined, which is fine. It's not everybody's cup of tea. And her mother jokingly said that she's content with her poor dad. And my response was, I think maybe somebody observing that conversation might have expected me to come back with reasons why she should read this book. And instead I said, being content is an invaluable attribute. And that is a true story. She knew what she was interested and what she's not interested in, and there's no sense in forcing somebody to be interested in something that they're not. So how does this apply to this conversation? Well, 2 months ago, you didn't know options even existed. You didn't know what they were. And you heard the market average is about 8% annual, taken over multiple years. And you thought, well, you try your hand at that and see maybe if you can get 10%. You're hearing, your friend down the road is doing it, or there's this new Robinhood app where it's free and everybody's making money. So you didn't even know that anything better than 8% was possible. Then you found out about options. And because of the leverage and Wall Street's bets and other things like that, you're seeing insane gains that, while technically possible, are extremely rare. When I try to pitch something more conservative, it still can lose you a lot of money. You're still risking that. So I'm not trying to say there's no risk involved, but it's more conservative, where you can make 20% a month or maybe 15% a month. Even if you made 10% a month, suddenly that's not good enough for you, and you would rather gamble with large sums of money praying for a home run. You really need to check yourself and be content with the blessing that is leverage, and be content with an average ROI of options, what selling premium can get you. It's not as flashy as these home runs where people overnight become millionaires, but the odds of you becoming a millionaire are very, very low. So sticking with something that is consistent makes a whole lot more sense for you. Next thing we want to talk about is awareness. So another thing you encounter a lot is people who hear this news and they want to act on it. Well, do you really believe that you're the first person to hear that news? Either you're doing insider trading, which is illegal, or you're not the first person to hear that news. And if you're not the first person to hear that news, it's already too late to act on it. Somebody else has already benefited from that move because they're quicker. Chances are they're sitting right on the other side of the exchange with a really fat pipe, and they were able to, as soon as the headline came in, or maybe they had tips from their different sources that made them aware before even an article was published. They acted on it, and the price movement is enough that you will not be able to get in and be as profitable. Yes, there are times where you can time it correctly. You get in, even if it's middle of a climb and the stock continues to climb, and you happen to get out before it crashes. But then 8 times out of 10, you don't get out quick enough and the stock crashes on you. Assuming that you and you alone possess some sort of foresight, some sort of information, some macro view is laughable. And you need to check yourself. And I'm not just speaking to you, I'm speaking to myself. These are problems that I struggle with as well. But nobody knows where the market's going. Nobody knows which companies are going to survive, when things will crash, and they will, how long those bear markets will last, etc., etc., etc. The recommendations here are to understand what your shortcomings are, the complexities of the market, what your edge is, why you're in the market, what makes you happy, what's enough, what entertains you, and that last one's kind of weird, what entertains you. We know trading stocks is half gambling, half entertainment, half trying to make money, but you need to take your money, treat it with some respect. You earned that money by working, or even if you inherited it or somebody gave it to you. Would you rather lose all of that money or triple it? And why not triple it over the course of a year instead of trying to triple it in the next week and lose it all? You have the rest of your life to make as much money as you want. And then when you die, what does it matter anyway? You can't take that money with you. So instead of trying to not work for the rest of your life, why don't you employ options or the stock market to make your life easier instead of completely erasing all work? And let's be honest, if you didn't have a job, if you didn't have a purpose on what you were going to do each day, you'd be very bored sitting there watching TV, playing video games. That can only take you so far. So if you're playing the stock market just for entertainment, acknowledge that, and that's fine. You can definitely do that, don't get me wrong. But allocate a certain percentage of your account that you can gamble with each month, and the rest of your account is tucked away, safe. Percentage of that just in stocks, percentage of that for options, etc. Years ago, when I was teaching all the people coming in, I had, for programming, I had the assumption that you can teach anyone to learn programming. And I still think that's true. You can teach anybody, but it's not quite so simple as that. They need to want to learn how to do it, and even if they can learn it, doesn't necessarily mean they'll be good at it. And there's a difference there. I think that applies here to the stock market as well. Anybody can learn to operate Robinhood. It's very, very easy. Anybody can learn to look at the chart and notice something that might potentially go up when it potentially could go down. But it takes a lot of different set of attributes to act on those and to control your emotions when things are going against you, and to have enough intelligence when to hold on and when to close. And sometimes that's a mix of luck and rules. I'll have a video on the traits that I believe it takes to be successful in the stock market and options specifically. But you need to master your emotions. You need to build your account from a small number, prove your strategy, and then scale up accordingly, slowly. Your account behaves differently at different values. A $5,000 account, $5,000, behaves completely different than a $10,000 and a $25,000 and a $100,000 account. So you need to treat that as a journey and learn as you go, even if you have the $100,000 to start off with. Start with a $2,000 account. You need to check your ego, and most of all, create realistic expectations for yourself so that you don't act on something that bends what you should be doing. If you need to pay rent and you think you're going to put money in the stock market, $100, and you want to turn that into $1,000 to pay rent, it's due on the 1st, you're not going to do it. You put an unrealistic burden on yourself. You've got inflated expectations of what needs to happen and what you can do, and you're going to end up blowing up. So take your time, and most importantly, log your trades. Of course, I'm going to segue into my website. Log your trades. you're not going to know what you've been successful at and what you haven't been, what you're good at. And how do you determine your edge? I just talked about a second ago. By logging your trades and meditating on where you're successful. What did you do? What can you replicate? How can you increase the odds that you're going to be successful? My website is free, tastytracker.com. Log your options and stocks. This is a really old slide. It's not $9.99 a month anymore. It's free. So you can create an account, no credit card required, track your stocks and options. I have a diary on there, which I use to log my different emotions and my different ideas. And you can go back and look at where you've come from and maybe revisit some ideas that you've had in the past now that you have more experience. Leave a comment if you could. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. I don't have that many followers. And selfishly, I'd like to have my channel be bigger. Who wouldn't? Leave a comment, like, share, subscribe. I have broker links in the description if you want them. Don't need to use them. Either way. Anyway, this was just my opinion, my experience. Hopefully it will help you out, and hopefully it will save you money, some hardships. Hopefully you'll think twice before you're gambling. I wasn't given $100,000 to start off with in the market. If you were, that's great. Please use that opportunity to make the rest of your life easier. Like I said, I know a lot of us would have liked that opportunity. We weren't given that opportunity, so please don't waste it. Thanks.